Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt a heavy weight on your heart, wondering if sustenance, provision, and opportunities will ever come your way? Know this: Allah's mercy is always near, and His promise is absolute. The Quran, our eternal guide, contains verses that hold immense power, guiding us, comforting us, and opening the doors of rizq when we approach them with sincerity and faith. Among these, the verses of Surah Talaq stand as a beacon of hope, especially when one is in need of provision, clarity, or divine support. These verses remind us that Allah is the ultimate provider, the one who controls the heavens and the earth, and the one who sustains His servants in ways that often surpass human imagination. They speak not only of rules and guidance but of divine promise, that when we turn to Allah in trust and recitation, the paths of sustenance can open instantly, by His permission. The power of intentional recitation cannot be overstated. It is not merely reading words aloud, it is connecting with Allah, surrendering your worries and placing your needs directly in His hands. When you recite the verses of Surah Talaq with focus, heart, and understanding, it becomes an act of trust, a declaration that you rely on Allah's wisdom and timing. Imagine the early morning stillness, the sun rising slowly, dew on the leaves, and in that sacred calm, you recite these verses with awareness. With every word, the heart softens, the mind clears, and a channel is opened for divine guidance and provision. Real-life examples abound. There are countless stories of individuals who, after sincere recitation and consistent reliance on Allah, witnessed sudden openings in work, finances, or personal matters. Doors that seemed locked suddenly swung wide, blessings appearing exactly when they were most needed. Allah often sends signs of rizq in ways that may appear subtle at first. It could be an unexpected phone call, an idea striking at the perfect moment, an opportunity that appears after consistent effort, or a sudden ease in a previously difficult matter. Recognizing these signs requires mindfulness, reflection, and gratitude. Each small occurrence is a whisper from Allah, a gentle reminder that He is orchestrating the perfect plan for you. The Quran encourages believers to reflect, reminding us that sustenance comes from Him alone, and that every blessing is timed with divine wisdom. Yet, while the promise is immense, the believer must approach it with sincerity, patience, and unwavering trust. The heart must be free of doubt, the intention pure, and the actions aligned with righteousness. This patience does not mean passive waiting, it means acting diligently, maintaining worship, giving in charity, and keeping hope alive, while trusting Allah's timing. When the heart aligns with trust and patience, the recitation of these verses becomes a powerful catalyst for change, preparing the believer to receive rizq in ways that are both spiritual and material. Finally, it is essential to remember that while divine provision is guaranteed by Allah, it often comes through a combination of effort and reliance. Take action in your life, plan, work, and seek solutions, but always with the awareness that ultimate results are in Allah's hands. By combining sincere recitation of Surah Talaq, reflection on its meanings, recognition of subtle signs, and deliberate action, you create a harmonious alignment with divine will. Each moment of sincerity, trust, and patience positions you to receive the blessings Allah has destined, opening paths of rizq that are immediate, abundant, and perfectly timed. Surah Talaq is one of the chapters of the Quran that carries profound wisdom, guidance, and promise for the believer, especially regarding reliance on Allah and the unfolding of sustenance in one's life. While many associate this surah primarily with matters of family law, there are verses within it that illuminate the mercy, power, and providence of Allah in ways that are deeply applicable to everyday life. These verses remind the believer that Allah is the ultimate sustainer, that He provides for His creation in perfect timing, and that no effort, prayer, or sincere intention is ever overlooked. When read with understanding, the promise embedded in Surah Talaq becomes a beacon of hope, signaling that even in moments of uncertainty or delay, Allah is preparing channels of rizq that are destined for His servants. The Quran emphasizes that sustenance and provision are not dependent solely on human effort or understanding. They are orchestrated by Allah, who knows what is best, when it is best, and how it should arrive. The verses in Surah Talaq make this explicit by highlighting that Allah is sufficient for His servants, that He alone controls the heavens and the earth, and that His mercy encompasses all things. For the believer, these words are not abstract statements. They are a divine assurance that when one turns to Allah in trust, the pathways to provision, opportunity, and blessing are open. Understanding the context of these verses deepens their impact. In times of worry, when financial, personal, or emotional challenges weigh heavily on the heart, reading these verses reminds the believer that Allah is not distant, that He observes every effort, and that He responds to sincere reliance. This realization transforms anxiety into hope, doubt into trust, and despair into patient anticipation. The promise in Surah Talaq is also connected with action and awareness. It is not merely a passive statement of faith, it encourages the believer to reflect, plan, and act, while simultaneously placing ultimate trust in Allah's wisdom. This dynamic balance between effort and reliance is central to the Quranic guidance on sustenance. Consider the imagery of a tree. A seed is planted and nurtured, water and sunlight are provided, yet it is Allah who allows it to grow, blossom, and bear fruit at the right time. Similarly, the believer's actions, prayers, and intentions are like the careful tending of this seed, while the ultimate growth, opportunity, and blessings come through Allah's orchestration. Real-life examples illustrate the practical manifestation of this promise. A person struggling financially may recite these verses consistently, maintaining trust in Allah, and find that opportunities appear unexpectedly, a timely job offer, a solution to a long-standing problem, or support arriving from unforeseen sources. Another individual who faces challenges in personal or spiritual life may experience clarity, guidance, and peace after reflecting on these verses, realizing that Allah's plan is in motion, and that provision in all its forms is guaranteed by His mercy. The beauty of this promise lies in its universality. It applies to every believer, regardless of the magnitude of their struggle or the length of the wait. By reading and reflecting on these verses, one cultivates hope, strengthens patience, and aligns the heart with divine guidance. The promise in Surah Talaq is therefore both reassurance and motivation. It reminds the believer that sustenance is not a matter of luck or mere effort, but a matter of divine will, perfectly timed and aligned with the believer's sincere intentions. This understanding prepares the heart to receive rizq with gratitude, to recognize the subtle signs of provision, and to act with confidence, knowing that Allah's promise is absolute and that He alone has the power to open the doors of blessing, opportunity, and abundance. The recitation of the Quran is not merely an act of habit or ritual. It is a profound connection between the servant and Allah, a direct channel through which guidance, mercy, and provision flow. When it comes to Surah Talaq, the intentional recitation of its verses becomes a transformative practice that can open doors of rizq and bless the believer in unexpected ways. Intentional recitation means approaching these verses with full awareness, focus, and sincerity, not just uttering words without thought. Each word is a link, a spiritual cord that connects your heart, mind, and soul to Allah, inviting His attention, mercy, and action. The power lies not just in the sound of the recitation, but in the mindfulness and belief with which it is performed. When a believer recites with the understanding that Allah listens, sees, and responds, the verses become a tool of hope, a reminder that divine sustenance is near, and a catalyst for positive change in both spiritual and worldly affairs. Consider the imagery of a traveler in a vast desert. The path is uncertain, the terrain is difficult, and the journey is long. The traveler calls out, and suddenly a sign appears, a guiding light, or a source of water emerges. This is similar to the effect of intentional recitation. It illuminates the path, brings clarity in times of confusion, and provides sustenance exactly when it is most needed. Real-life experiences of believers reflect this phenomenon. Many who have consistently recited Surah Talaq with intention have witnessed sudden openings in their lives, a new job opportunity, financial provision when least expected, or guidance through a difficult decision. These blessings often arrive in ways that defy conventional planning, demonstrating that while effort is essential, it is the divine response that creates true transformation. Intentional recitation also strengthens the heart and mind, instilling patience, hope, and trust. When the believer knows that they are actively seeking connection with Allah through these verses, it reinforces the understanding that providence is a matter of divine orchestration, and that their efforts, prayers, and trust are not in vain. This practice trains the heart to recognize subtle signs of guidance, to notice opportunities that may otherwise be overlooked, and to respond with gratitude and proactive action. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes that remembrance of Allah brings ease, guidance, and relief. Indeed, by the remembrance of Allah, hearts are assured. Surah At 13:28. Intentional recitation is a direct form of this remembrance. It is not passive, it is an active engagement that opens the believer to divine timing, aligning their readiness with Allah's plan. Another aspect of this practice is the transformation it brings to the believer's perception. When these verses are recited thoughtfully, the believer begins to notice patterns in life, subtle alignments, and signs that indicate Allah's involvement in every matter. They become more aware of moments of ease, opportunities, and guidance, recognizing that these are manifestations of divine response to their consistent efforts and trust. Moreover, the intention behind recitation amplifies its impact. Reciting with the sole purpose of seeking Allah's assistance, placing trust in His plan, and preparing the heart to receive blessings creates a spiritual alignment that cannot be achieved through mere routine. The mind becomes focused, the heart becomes receptive, and the soul is attuned to recognize and embrace the rizq that Allah has prepared. By making recitation a conscious, heartfelt practice, the believer opens a channel for rizq to flow, for guidance to appear, and for circumstances to align in ways that transform struggles into opportunity or scarcity into abundance. One of the most profound indications that Allah is about to open the doors of rizq in your life is the appearance of signs that confirm His perfect timing. These signs may come in subtle ways, through events, people, or moments that seem ordinary at first glance, yet carry the unmistakable signature of divine orchestration. Allah does not merely provide sustenance in isolation, He aligns circumstances, opportunity, and moments in a manner that reflects His wisdom, mercy, and absolute control. For the believer, recognizing these signs requires attentiveness, reflection, and a heart attuned to the subtle ways in which divine guidance manifests. It is often in the quiet, seemingly mundane moments that Allah places the earliest hints of forthcoming provision. Perhaps you find a solution to a problem appearing unexpectedly, receive guidance through a conversation with someone you had not considered, or witness a situation resolving itself in a way that feels like a small miracle. Each of these moments is a gentle reminder that Allah is actively shaping the path toward your sustenance. The Quran emphasizes the importance of reflection and awareness, encouraging believers to recognize the signs of Allah in the natural world and in their daily lives. And it is He who sends down rain after they have despaired and spreads His mercy, and He is the guardian, the praiseworthy. Surah Al-Shura 42:20. Just as the rain arrives after the dry spell, at a time known only to Allah, so too does rizq arrive for the believer when the heart and circumstances are aligned with divine timing. Real-life experiences exemplify this principle vividly. A person struggling financially may notice unexpected opportunities, such as a client reaching out, a new job prospect, or assistance appearing in the form of a friend, family member, or mentor. Someone seeking guidance in a personal matter may experience clarity or a sudden resolution, confirming that divine intervention in that work. These signs are not random, they are carefully placed by Allah to confirm it, to prepare the believer to receive the blessings fully. Patience and mindfulness are essential to recognizing these signs. Many overlook subtle indicators because they are focused solely on immediate results or become discouraged during periods of apparent delay. Yet, when the believer observes carefully, they begin to notice a pattern of divine orchestration, how challenges ease, doors open, and resources align at precisely the right moment. This awareness reinforces trust in Allah's plan, helping the heart remain hopeful, patient, and steadfast. Moreover, the signs of rizq often coincide with readiness on the part of the believer. Allah provides sustenance when the believer is prepared spiritually, mentally, and emotionally to receive it. Just as the soil must be tilled, watered, and cared for before seeds can grow, the heart and mind of the believer must be ready to recognize opportunities and blessings when they come. Intentional recitation, sincere prayer, and acts of gratitude all prepare the believer to perceive these signs. Another powerful aspect of recognizing divine timing is that it alleviates anxiety and reinforces hope. When small signs of provision or guidance begin to appear, the believer realizes that their struggle is not in vain, and that divine support is near. Each subtle occurrence, an answer to a prayer, a sudden idea, or an unexpected interaction, serves as reassurance that Allah is orchestrating circumstances for the best possible outcome. The combination of observation, mindfulness, and reflection allows the believer to see the interconnectedness of events and to recognize that rizq open in ways that may surpass imagination. Understanding these signs not only strengthens faith, but also motivates action. When the believer sees the early indications of divine provision, they are encouraged to continue their efforts, remain patient, and sustain their prayers, knowing that each step brings them closer to the moment when Allah will open the doors of sustenance, abundance, and opportunity. Sincerity, patience, and trust are essential qualities that prepare the believer to receive the blessings and rizq that Allah has destined. Even when reciting powerful verses like those in Surah Talāq, the effectiveness of their impact depends on the heart's alignment with truth and faith. Sincerity is the foundation. It ensures that every prayer, every recitation, and every effort is directed toward Allah, free from desires for worldly recognition or selfish gain. When a person approaches Allah with pure intention, acknowledging His supremacy and seeking His guidance genuinely, the heart becomes a vessel ready to receive divine blessings. This sincerity amplifies the effect of recitation, making it not just a routine or ritual, but a heartfelt conversation with the Creator. Patience or sabr is equally crucial. Many believers experience moments of delay or difficulty, wondering why the doors of rizq have not yet opened, why prayers seem unanswered, or why obstacles persist. Yet, Allah often tells patience to cultivate resilience, strengthen faith, and ensure that the believer is fully prepared for the provision that is about to arrive. Patience does not mean passivity. It is an active state of endurance, maintaining hope and trust while continuing sincere worship, reflection and effort. The Quran reminds us that indeed, Allah is with those who are patient. Surah Al-Anfal 8:46. Patience therefore is both a virtue and a means through which divine timing unfolds. Trust or tawakkul complements sincerity and patience by creating a deep-seated confidence that Allah is orchestrating everything for the believer's ultimate good. Trust is not blind optimism. It is the understanding that even when circumstances seem difficult, even when solutions are not yet apparent, Allah knows what is best, and His plan is perfect. A person who trusts Allah maintains hope, sees obstacles as temporary, and perceives delays as part of divine wisdom. These qualities work together harmoniously. Sincerity aligns intention with divine will, patience sustains perseverance, and trust allows the heart to remain calm and expectant. Real-life experiences illustrate this interplay vividly. Someone praying for financial relief may experience small subtle blessings, a timely suggestion from a friend, a minor but crucial financial opportunity, or unexpected ease in managing expenses. These moments reinforce patience, strengthen trust, and confirm that Allah is responding to their sincerity. Similarly, a person struggling in personal or professional life may notice gradual improvements, subtle signs of guidance, or unexpected opportunities that only become apparent to a heart that is patient, sincere, and trusting. The combination of these qualities transforms recitation, prayer, and action into powerful channels for divine provision. Even when external circumstances seem unchanged, the believer begins to notice internal shifts, increased clarity, renewed motivation, strengthened faith, and a growing awareness of Allah's presence in every moment. These internal transformations are themselves blessings, preparing the believer to recognize and embrace the larger provisions and opportunities that are on the horizon. Furthermore, sincerity, patience, and trust enable the believer to navigate setbacks or challenges without despair, seeing every difficulty as a part of Allah's wisdom and a step toward eventual success. They cultivate resilience, fortify hope, and ensure that the heart remains receptive to subtle signs of rizq and divine guidance. The believer who embodies these qualities approaches recitation of Surah Talāq and other acts of worship with full presence, understanding that every moment of sincerity and patience is a preparation for the arrival of blessings. Trust then becomes the lens through which these blessings are perceived, allowing the believer to recognize the timing, magnitude, and source of provision as perfectly orchestrated by Allah. By cultivating these qualities consistently, the believer positions themselves to receive rizq, opportunity, and guidance in ways that are not only immediate but aligned with divine wisdom and mercy. While recitation, sincerity, patience, and trust are essential for opening the doors of rizq, they must be coupled with action. Islam teaches us that reliance on Allah, or tawakkul, is not a passive state of waiting but a dynamic balance between trusting Allah and exerting effort. The believer is encouraged to act diligently, plan wisely, and pursue opportunities, all while maintaining full reliance on Allah for the outcome. This principle ensures that divine provision is met with preparedness, receptivity, and alignment with intention. Taking action is a demonstration of faith in itself. It reflects the understanding that while Allah is the ultimate provider, He has ordained certain means and channels through which sustenance flows. By actively engaging in efforts that align with ethical principles, personal responsibility, and divine guidance, the believer participates in the unfolding of Allah's plan. Real-life examples illustrate this beautifully. Consider an entrepreneur striving to grow a business while regularly reciting the verses of Surah Talāq. They invest in learning, improving skills, networking, and seeking opportunities. Simultaneously, they maintain sincerity, patience, and trust in Allah. The combination of effort and reliance ensures that when the opportunity arrives, they are fully prepared to recognize it, seize it, and maximize its benefits. The Quran emphasizes this interplay of effort and reliance, and rely upon Allah, and sufficient is Allah's disposer of affairs. Surah Al-Ahzab 33:3. This verse guides the believer to take action with confidence while surrendering the outcome to Allah. Another example can be seen in personal growth and problem solving. A person facing challenges in relationships, health, or finances may take concrete steps, seeking guidance, learning, and making decisions, while simultaneously praying, reflecting, and trusting Allah's wisdom. This dual approach ensures that when solutions or opportunities appear, they are fully equipped to act, and the blessings are maximized.
Taking action also enhances awareness of divine signs. A believer who is proactive notices opportunities, subtle indications, and guidance in daily life more readily than someone who waits passively. Each action, effort, and decision becomes a potential channel for Allah's provision to manifest. This principle is also illustrated in the story of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, who combined reliance on Allah with decisive action in their missions. They prayed for guidance, placed trust in Allah, and then actively engaged in the steps necessary to fulfill their responsibilities, demonstrating that faith and effort are inseparable. Additionally, taking action while relying on Allah cultivates resilience and reinforces hope. When challenges arise, the believer understands that setbacks are not failures but part of the journey, tests of patience and opportunities for growth. By acting consistently, they maintain momentum and position themselves to recognize opportunities when Allah opens the doors of rizq. The synergy between action and trust ensures that when blessings arrive, they are not wasted, overlooked, or unprepared for. Each deliberate step taken in alignment with sincerity, patience, and divine guidance increases the likelihood of positive outcomes, while trust in Allah ensures peace of mind and spiritual fulfillment, even before results become visible. This principle transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results, aligning human endeavor with divine orchestration. When combined with the recitation of Surah Talāq, mindfulness, and spiritual preparation, active engagement in life becomes a powerful instrument through which Allah's mercy and provision flow, opening doors of opportunity, sustenance, and barakah in ways that are timely, abundant, and perfectly suited to the believer's needs.